Lolita, light of my life, fire of my loins, my sin, my soul. Now question, is that lyrics to a Lana Del Rey song or the first opening words to the book Lolita? If you guessed either, you're both correct. Everybody, today is another coffee date. I got my coffee ready in my friend's mug, so I am ready to go. Wondering why I started the video with a quote? Well, I wanted to talk about something I don't think really irritates me or gets me mad, but it's just more cringe-worthy, and that's when people romanticize things that are problematic. And famously, definitely with the Lana Del Rey and, Tumblr, I've seen a lot of people romanticize either the book or the movies. I think it was the 60s version. There's a 60s or 70s version, and then there's a 90s version. And I've seen a lot of people romanticize them. And don't get me wrong, I love Lana Del Rey, but sometimes I think some people don't understand that, some of the things she sings about, they might sound romantic and sultry, but they kind of have some dark undertones. And I think she does those purposefully, there we are, as, I don't know, she's smarter than all of us and she's too deep for me to get. But, a lot of younger people, girls, boys, whatever, may listen to this and not realize that most of her songs have drug references, or just very whatever. But anyway, as we know, her biggest influence is the book Lolita and the movies. And if you do not know what Lolita is about, spoiler alert, Lolita is about a relationship, a sexual relationship between a 12-year-old girl and a 40-something-year-old man. Now, I mean, even the book, how it's written, is written very poetic and beautifully. Like, I mean, if this was about him, if this was him lusting over maybe someone his own age, it would probably be a really lovely story because it's really nicely written, and that can confuse some people and not remember that it is a book about a pedophile. Anyway, like, I sometimes see people on like Tumblr or whatever, and they, kind of, not just really the theme or the plot of the story, but just, there's like iconic things from the movie. I think more people like the heart-shaped sunglasses, and, I know it's a big thing to call guys you like daddy, and I do it ironically, but, it's just like one of those things. It's like, a book like Lolita, takes it seriously. They're not, taking that level of attraction. Ironically, they're taking it seriously, so it's just kind of like, where do you draw the line? And, whatever, if you think Lolita is supposed to be romantic, any part of it, please reevaluate what your morals are, because it is not a great book. It's a great book and it's a classic, but in real life, if something like this was going on, it would be awful. And another book I see a lot of people romanticizing or whatever is The Great Gatsby. I think that's a little more well known. I think because they just had a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio a few years ago, so I think, a lot of people may get what I'm talking about. But the way, I'm gonna try to say this without having too many spoilers. As we know, we should all be aware that Gatsby has feelings or is in love with Daisy. And a lot of people say things like, I wish someone would look at me the way Gatsby does, or someone would fall for me the way Gatsby does. And I'm just gonna put a spoiler right here because I might accidentally say too much. So if you haven't read or seen the movie or know anything about it, then stop watching, go watch The Great Gatsby or read it, and then come back, and then we can continue this discussion. Anyway, so backstory is that Gatsby and Daisy were supposed to be together, um, but he had to go to war, World War One, or the Great War, and then she had to basically marry someone else. She wasn't technically in love with him, Tom Buchanan. She wasn't in love with him, but she kind of did it for the money and just kind of, it was just one of those things. It was, right opportunity, and it was just something that, she did want, but, she would have preferred if Gatsby was there. And then so she's married to him. Gatsby comes back, realizes she's married, and then almost every day he throws a party, and nobody knows who Gatsby is. But he throws a party, and he lives across the lake from her, and he throws a party hoping to get her attention, hoping she'll show up one day, and basically stalks her. Um, like the way Gatsby treats the situation with Daisy is not romantic. It is borderline stalkerish, and I think people need to understand that. Even F. Scott Fitzgerald, the author of the book, the book is not about how great the 20s were. It's the opposite. It's a satire of how people thought the 20s were, and he wrote it in the 20s. It wasn't just someone who is looking back onto the 20s and just writing, a bunch of crap about it and how crappy it was. He was there in the time, basically saying just because it looks pretty from the outside doesn't mean it's all there. And I think some people lose that point, definitely when they watch the movie, because all you see is beautiful lights and different remixes of Crazy in Love, and sometimes that message doesn't get across as well in a movie as it does a book. So it's just like one of those things I've just seen people, girls, I don't know, people just say, oh, how romantic it is. And in a sense, yes, because I do think Gatsby's love for Daisy is genuine, and I don't think he is trying to be creepy, but he is. I mean, you get a house across the bay, and you stare out at her house every day, and then you throw parties just in the hopes that a married woman would have an affair with you and run away with you. He has a very childlike mind, Gatsby, and he, kind of doesn't, almost kind of scary. He doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. And I know when you put a handsome actor into one of these roles, anything goes. They put Leonardo DiCaprio as Gatsby. Of course, every girl's gonna be like, I wish someone looked at me the way he looked at me. I mean, they did the same thing with The Streetcar Named Desire. Marlon Brando played Stanley. And I know many people aren't familiar with that story, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but basically, he is an awful dude, Stanley. He is manipulative, he's abusive, and he is just not a great guy. But they have the most handsome man of that time play him, so it's just so hard to be like, to hate him, because you're like, he's handsome. Be okay with someone abusing me as long as it looks like Marlon Brando or Leonardo DiCaprio or so forth. And I think that's kind of a bad message. I'm not saying that only ugly people or unattractive people should play unattractive roles. It just kind of, there's no way to really fix that issue other than like other people telling these people, just because, and it was also, I'm going on a tangent here and kind of rambling, but it almost is like 50 Shades of Grey. I have not read the books, I've not seen the movie. I will not spend a dime on that franchise because I don't believe in it. I think it, from articles and stuff, it doesn't accurately portray a healthy relationship. Um, you know, and I'm not saying because it's BDSM, but because they're portraying it badly, and people, that's romanticizing, the abuse, because that is a real community of people, but those community of people are respectful and they have rules where I don't even know the main character his name, but basically he doesn't do that, but people are like, oh, but it's this, so it's just whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, but people have made a point, like, they have this handsome millionaire guy abusing this girl, and like, people are like, ooh, I want a Christian Grey, that's what his name is. Sorry, I don't really care much about that story, but Christian Grey, he's a millionaire, he's handsome, he's got those dreamy eyes, and he's abusing Anastasia, I think her name is. He's abusing her, and you know, everyone finds it or sensual, when in reality, if it was some guy from a trailer park or a criminal doing the exact same things, saying the exact same things as he was, you'd be running for the hills, and it would be an episode of Cops or something. Like, it's, you know, these kind of problematic things that you find in books and movies, they always portray it as something very romantic, whether it's they write it romantically like they do in Lolita, or they have a handsome man or woman play, the character of someone bad or doing bad things that's meant to look good, and people think that's what they want, and they, if they ever in real life got in a relationship like that, they won't know that it's wrong. Or people might take advantage of, like, I'm a millionaire. I I'll be able to get away with whatever the hell I want, because as long as I got the money and I have the good looks, I can get away with raping a girl, basically. And then the girl will be like, well, that's okay, whatever. It was in 50 Shades of Grey. It's all right, so I don't care. Tons of movies and books, and it's just sometimes they don't paint the villain out so clearly. Sometimes the villain could be a very handsome or romantic or beautiful person, and their actions are justified because they're attractive. And like nothing I said today has been like straightforward, and I'm probably confusing all of you guys, but these videos are not scripted. It's just whatever's the coffee's talking for me. I'm just saying whatever comes across my head. I'm sorry. That's it for today. I feel like I'm just rambling, and I don't want to keep rambling and basically have to edit a 30-minute video of me just going on and on. If you're new to my channel and you don't know what coffee dates are where I can rant or slash vent. I can give advice, I can answer questions. I'm not that popular right now, so nobody's asking me questions or asking for advice, so I'm just gonna keep ranting. If you by chance have any questions or advice or topics I should talk about, or my opinions, you can always leave that in the comments. Like this video if you agree with what I said. If you don't agree, if you support 50 Shades of Grey, I guess you'll dislike this. Sorry about it. If you want to be notified when I make a new coffee date or any of my other random videos, you can click subscribe down here. That is it. Till next time, I will see you later, and we can clink to that. Bye.